everybody. Welcome back to the HoloNet Marauders podcast.
There you go.
My camera went out, but
He's
I'm
outta here.
still here. There we are. It always
overwhelmed
does
by
that. I don't know why.
dungworms.
Yeah.
It was very overwhelmed. I'm joined here, as always, by my bomb bad biscuit eating.
Oh, that's pretty good. Bomb bad biscuit eating.
Amnesty.
Former Imperials.
People. Yeah, there we
Amnesty people.
We got that.
Yeah.
Amnesty folks.
Rehabilitated.
Yeah. Some of us, not all of us. We're also joined here by our old college pal, Khalid.
Old college.
How's it going, Khalid? Good to see you.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Happy to be here. Excited.
Of course,
Hello,
yeah.
welcome, Khalid.
We've been wanting to do this for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
We would be honored if you could
some-
join us.
Some background information with Khalid. As I said, we went to college with him, and I think Jamie and I probably saw more movies and Star Wars stuff with him than we did with like Matt.
This is
For
true,
sure.
actually.
So,
It was what Force Awakens.
yeah,
And we also saw a bunch of the Marvel movies. Like I remember we saw Civil
Yeah.
War.
Civil
We
War.
saw- Did we see BVS together?
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
For some reason, you sat like on the opposite end of the theater.
because the
we saw it
seats
together.
were like weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it was
Gotta
that.
have the right angle. I respect that.
Yeah.
it took me to realize what BVS was. I was
Oh,
like,
A classic.
what?
The famous court case, Batman v
the
Superman.
famous, yeah. Batman v Superman.
Come on.
Yeah, isn't the infamous of AJ and me the Rogue One photo post like seeing Rogue One? I think that you took that, Khalid.
No,
About-
that was with Rohan.
Oh, that was with Rohan. Okay, no,
That
Khalid
was-
went to see Force
really?
Awakens with
Yeah.
us.
But oddly enough,
We didn't see another Star Wars movie. I don't know. Or it was
I don't know
just
if we
we
did.
saw a bunch of movies, or was it just one Star Wars movie?
It was one Star Wars, and it was a
Okay.
lot of the MCU because
Yeah.
the MCU, early MCU, that was hot in
good stuff.
early
Prime.
times.
Good
Prime.
time. Good time.
But that night at Force Awakens was legendary.
I couldn't stop smiling, and I was like,
I
I
didn't
was
sleep.
high too, and I had a couple shots. So I'm just in the theater in my seat, just grinning.
I think I have a selfie of Jamie and I, and you're just behind us, like.
That's
on
what I'm
cloud
thinking
nine.
of. Okay, that's the selfie. He's just like
Cuddled up in the reclining chair, just like I'm so ready.
happy to be here. Oh
That
my
was
god.
great. But we're here today. We're gathered here today to talk about Mando Chapter 19. I made a YouTube short and I called it Chapter 18, so hopefully nobody noticed. I can't keep count anymore. Chapter 19, The Convert, which
Oh,
sounds
wait.
like some episode of like Seinfeld or something. But... What was that?
I'm sorry. I opened another tab. Don't mind me. Just UFO.
Those are the
Extra
X-Files,
transmissions.
team.
Yeah, it sounds like
Sorry.
it sounds like the Seinfeld episode where George becomes Latvian Orthodox.
Okay.
That's
see that.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's a convert.
Okay.
There was a lot of convert situations in Seinfeld, but yeah. This episode of Mando was basically just an episode of Andor. We'll get into that.
Mandalorian.
Andor.
There you go,
Mandor, yeah.
Mandor.
And it was sandwiched together by the Bo-Katan Din stuff, which was very good, but kind of we'll talk about it later. But when it came back to that, it was like, oh wait, this is still going on. I forgot. And
I know I wasn't
Jimmy-
expecting for us to go back to it.
I was hoping we were because I'm like, oh man, if I don't like get some closure on the where Din and Bo left to, I was gonna feel like come on, when are they gonna get to the fireworks factory?
I genuinely
Allow me to
forgot
enjoy it again.
we were watching The Mandalorian until like they showed like the last like sequence of like the ships like arriving over like the covert. Like completely forgot I was watching The Mandalorian.
Right.
I don't. That's just it. I've seen like a few other people like say that they like also like completely forgot. It's just I love both of the stories that were going on in this episode, but I just feel they were wicked just disjointed from each other.
Yeah.
They're not matching up yet. Most of the time when you tell two stories at once within a show, like they make sense and like there's some sort of element that weaves them together. The only element here is they have a bit of a history, but they really are two completely different stories, and it just seems so disjointed.
Right.
But that is my criticism, and that's it, really. So
Did it seem like an advertisement for a possible whole other show?
Oh
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
that's
Kinda.
Mando. That's the Mando special, dude. gotta-
like, literally.
The season 2
Soft
special. at
soft
least, yeah.
pilots all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. because I know weren't they supposed to, or they were talking about doing like a Rangers of the New Republic or something like that, but Gina Carano fucked up, so that might not happen.
It's probably not
that
going to
just
happen.
like reorganizing other stuff. I feel like
Couldn't
this
shut
episode
up.
they may have just like shuffled everything into the one. But like I think that it is like the other like versions of like they're gonna like do like pilot episodes for like other characters, but I don't think that Dr. Pershing would ever
The
get
Dr.
his
Pershing
own
show?
spin-off.
Come on.
No.
So they were probably like,
I'd
all right, we
watch.
gotta like shove everything
I'd
into
watch.
this one episode.
Love that
He
guy.
did a great
Yeah, we
job.
would.
He held the stage a lot better than I expected. There's nothing wrong
Agreed.
with his it's the character, not the actor. Like it's just I didn't think the character had enough going on to hold attention for more than like 5-10 minutes at a time. And yeah, I think it was well executed and also gave us just this really great just massive scoop of world building, you know, like just so much like in-universe stuff that we get to see and hear, you know, get talked about around us, you know, like when you're really listening in on all the silly tourism stuff, like it's like, yeah, go on. No, please tell me more about Coruscant daily life. I want to know.
I know.
Yeah,
I
that was
love
great.
that stuff. Speaking of Dr. Pershing, I do have a Patreon question from Erland. We love Erland, so we gotta answer his question. It's a very easy one this week, I think. So he said, "Who would win in a boxing match between Dr. Pershing and Elia Kane?" Who is the
Elia Kane.
Like, hey,
yeah, hands down.
You seen her biceps? I was on her Instagram actually, and she's stacked.
Katie O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean
she's
Yeah.
she's fine.
She is doing great right now. I mean, she was
Yep.
in Ant-Man, and she's like getting a much more screen time in this than I expected for her or for
Mhm.
crud. What's that actor's name who plays Dr. Pershing?
Omid Apatani.
Thank you.
Hey, ready to go with that one.
It's just a random one that I just completely remembered. It all goes back to the whole obsession with the Imperial cloning scientists. Don't.
So
yeah.
unanimous
but-
decision, Elia Kane wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Unless Dr. Pershing has some like crazy vial of something he can like throw on the ground like Batman or something.
That's not boxing. You
No.
can't do
Could
that
be.
in boxing.
Yeah, I guess if it's like a true boxing match rules.
Have you
and
seen
everything-
Rocky? Rocky didn't pull a vial out of his belt.
But Drago
True.
did.
Yeah, but
Wow.
Drago had stuff going on. So
Yeah, he was taking a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so maybe Pershing does he have time to genetically enhance himself before the fight or not? That's the important. Ask her.
That's the real
Get
question.
back to us next.
We'll get back to you
week.
next week.
Yeah.
On that one. So there's a lot to get to with Elia Kane and the Dr. Pershing stuff. But before we get to that, I guess we'll start with the Din stuff. I feel like that's easier to get out of the way. The Din and Bo-Katan stuff, even though it was the beginning and the end. So what did you guys think there? I didn't expect Bo's castle to be bombed like that. Like every cool castle we see in Star Wars, whether it's Maz Kanata's castle in Force Awakens or this one, it's like, all right, I hope you enjoy that because you're not going to see much more of it. It's really sad.
I think we see our fair share of TIE fighter dogfights in Star Wars, and it can be hard to make them feel fresh. But I think they use the location of like all these mountainous like valleys and like dips and everything so well. And between the tension of having to get Din to his ship on time, and then for him to help clean up shop, and then that rug pull is just so well executed because like you don't even like realize how well they've been just tailed away from the castle until it's too late.
I know it was a great scheme by these TIE fighters. I don't know who they're working
From their
for.
mysterious location.
Good TIE interceptors.
Yeah.
I love the little mystery behind this show. Like we kind of have an idea of probably who's behind all this stuff and where it's going, but at the moment, like I don't know, like who is this Imperial Remnant right now? Who is it being run by? Moff Gideon is in jail somewhat.
Like, is he? I don't know.
We hear in a random throwaway line that I didn't even notice.
Random throwaway line.
There was a lot of random throwaway lines. Like
there's so many.
In this episode.
We hold on. I feel we've totally jumped past like the like that immediate aftermath scene of Underneath the Mines of Mandalore.
That's true.
Because like it's very surprising that Bo just refused to even mention that she saw freaking mythosaur underneath.
I don't
like
think that's very surprising. I wouldn't
I don't
expect her to be like, "Oh, Din, guess what? I saw a mythosaur." Like, why would she say that? What?
It's hard to admit when you're wrong.
well,
And
I
so she's
want to
like,
go and
"Ugh."
look.
Because she
Also-
doesn't know if she actually saw it. I would assume it's a combination of she probably doesn't know if she actually saw it or not. Because like she definitely like wants to believe that something like that like is real, but at the same time, who knows? I a moment of silence / respect for the opening shot of this episode of like Din laying there passed out and Bo's just like disassociating and like green guy's just looking at Din like what's going on, and like it was like a full like almost 5-second shot of just like no one moving, just Din
Dude,
just, like,
the sounds Din makes was so good. He's lying there, all of a sudden you just hear, like it's so good.
We'll just expect a little splashback.
I
it's
still
so good.
don't understand last week. How did he just trip and sink like a stone? I've been
Heavy
texting
armor.
everyone about that. I'm like,
That
Was
Beskar,
it the
man.
best car? Yeah, heavy.
Yeah.
but it
It's
fell
well,
so
this car
fast.
itself is supposed to be light, like aluminum. That's like
Mm.
how it's when you look it up on Wikipedia. Like I think that's how it comes up. Like at the same time, though, like it doesn't take much to make you heavier than typical buoyancy, because like people are typically you can float
You
easily
float.
in water if you're not weighed down by a whole lot, and it doesn't take a whole lot. But he's wearing that's still like heavy clothing plus the armor.
Plus, he ate a
not
meal right
surprised.
before he went in.
You know what this
Din is a
proves?
He
freaking
had some
klutz
soup.
and can't see a damn thing with that
Can't see a
helmet.
damn
So
How did
This
it knock him out
I'm not
too,
surprised.
though?
I
That
love AJ. I mean, it's a good point because Bo goes to the bottom. He's just lying there. He's
I
dead.
love the shot of him just laying there, and it's like Bo dives into the water, jetpack on, and she has armor on too. It's probably not as heavy as his, I guess. I don't know, but like, and it's by the time it takes her to get down, he's already there. Like, and it seems like he's been there for a couple of seconds.
He's
But
He looks like
Dreaming.
the Titanic wreckage. Like sand's like tossed over him and everything, and it's just like, what's happening here?
This is why I'm saying I think it was the mythosaur. I legitimately think the mythosaur was just like,
that's what I thought too.
I agree.
But I don't know.
Why
That's
didn't
what I
it
thought
pursue
it
them
was
then?
too. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't seem to care, or like only noticed them once Bo shined a light in its eye.
I mean,
True. And then it got.
He
Like,
didn't
it
seem.
could-
He said he wasn't pulled.
it could have been something else, but he doesn't know if he was pulled. Like he said he fell, but like I don't know, he didn't see anything.
He's not a
'cause he
very
clearly
observant
was, like,
guy.
passed out. Like
I mean, Luke knew when he was yanked by the Dianoga.
Luke's
right? So-
observant.
Luke's
Fair.
observant
Luke is
and
not
also
that.
was
There's
standing
something
in
alive in
knee-high
here.
water. Where was he? Where did he go? Of course, he got pulled under. What else is going to happen to him?
We could do a whole episode on Star Wars characters being pulled underwater.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is like that scene in SpongeBob where they get the cramps and they're standing in like ankle-high water, and then they get the cramps and they immediately sink and start drowning. That's what this is.
Okay, I could see that.
I
Yeah,
have a question for you guys.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you think Bo-Katan's kind of is going to use the mythosaur later down the line as a play? You know what I mean? There's why she didn't reveal anything. Like maybe she's gonna.
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there
That's
like
the
some
vibe I'm
myth
getting.
about like the mythosaur revealing themselves to like the chosen one or something along those lines? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you got to tame it.
It's like an Arthurian legend at that point, right?
Oh,
Like
boy.
Hey, what did somebody say Arthur? Somebody say King Arthur?
No,
It
no,
wasn't
no.
that.
I think somebody said something.
oh,
But
no.
yeah, I
I'm
agree.
taking
I
the
think
sword
that
from the stone.
the whole situation with Bo here is I mean, like as I like mentioned like last week, is by her going in the water, she also therefore gets reborn. And I thought that it was really interesting on her part to keep her helmet on the entire time and like actually like abide by these rules. But I think that it's
By
all a
accident,
ruse, and she's all just like biding her time and getting her allies, because like all of the Mandalorians keep saying we're stronger together. And so I think that this is just one of Bo's ways to be like, all right, I'm gonna link up with these guys to see what they can offer me. And then when things start going wrong, popping that helmet off and leaving.
But that's the thing that stinks. She got these guys first. So now she has to keep her helmet on the entire time. If she recruits these guys, every other group of Mandalorians, she can't take her helmet off from now on. She's probably frustrated as hell. I would be.
I mean, like, who knows? What are the rules? We don't
What
know.
do you think's going on there? Because the way it ends, they're trying to make us think,
We're at the
oh,
ending.
she's joining the cult. But I mean,
What
she's
happened?
not joining the cult. She's just, she's outnumbered by them there. So she's like, all right, I'll let this pass. Like,
How
why
do you know
anger
she's
everyone?
not joining the cult?
Why would
She's
she?
scheming.
She joined the cult by default. I don't
Yeah.
know if
Yeah,
she,
exactly.
Like, actively did it. So it's like she's like,
She's not choosing
fine.
to.
She stumbled
Yes.
into it. She's like, oh, I took the magic bath. My helmet's
Two
still on.
sweetest
But
words in
she's not like
English
sold
language.
by the ways of the cult, obviously. She's not
Probably
staying
not.
with them.
But I think there is some form of like rebirth within her after seeing the mythosaur. So I wouldn't put it past her for her to get caught up in the cult's kind of like pageantry and start to maybe follow in its ways a little bit. But we'll see. I don't know. I
Not
think
the
that
helmet
was
thing.
well, yeah, it has to be the helmet thing.
Yeah, but I think she probably still thinks that's stupid. Like I think
Yeah, for
following
now.
their ways as if, okay, these waters might be kind of special and the mythosaur is real. But I think that's I think I said it last week where Bo has been proven right that the planet isn't cursed. They can go there. So the cult is wrong in that one. But Bo has been proven wrong that the mythosaur exists. So like they're kind of getting points on each side of who's right, who's wrong, obviously. So I think that's just another step in them becoming united.
Also, I want to preface this by saying I'm sure that like there's other uses for this thing, but I like that the armor just has like this little bowl, this little pool that she can just like it. This is just for checking to see if someone's been to the living waters. Okay, yeah, you've been. You're good. You know?
How does she like have all of that still? Like I'm super interested in that.
If she dips like regular water into that, like just the salt water outside, does it like ruin it or something? Like how does that?
No,
how does
it's
that work?
actually a spittoon.
Yeah, it is.
Something about the bowl. I don't know. Ancient carving.
Khalid, what are your kind of, we haven't really heard your takes on the Children of the Watch and the cult and the Armorer. What are your takes on all of them?
Especially in the start of the season, I'm kind of wondering like what's their end game. I'm starting like, are they just existing in the cave? Like especially with this past episode, I was kind of like, what do they want? What's their end goals? Is it just to almost migrate from place to place, continue their religion, recruit more? Like, is that kind of thing? So that's I do like the sort of mythology of Mandalorians and things like that. So it's definitely learning for me. Definitely things I didn't know. So I was looking up mythosaurs and things like that last episode. Right. I was like, they look fucking awesome. So
they do.
But it's I definitely like the mythology and definitely someone like me who's not as well versed in the Star Wars lore as you guys. It's definitely a learning experience and it's making me want to research more just farther outwards than the shows and the movies.
And
I think that's
cool.
That's good.
I think that's one of the best
Jamie.
things that The Mandalorian has done for Star Wars is that like not only has it like given us all another look at a different version of Mandalorians, but for like an average viewer, like this is your first glance at what a group of Mandalorians is. And I can't wait for them to like expand more on the history of the different groups of them as well within this show, because like they need to talk more about like Bo-Katan's like past with Death Watch and all of that, and like how the cult was born out of Death Watch. I think that is also super important that they need to talk about. I think that possibly in the future of like this entire experience, like with the cult and Bo-Katan, like maybe I think personally a conflict of interest is going to come up definitely with between her and the Armorer, because I'm pretty damn sure Bo-Katan knows who the Armorer is and the Armorer clearly knows who she is. So that's gonna be something, and I think it'll probably get revealed more so of who the Armorer like actually is. Was she someone of importance to Bo-Katan? Like I think that'll be really important, and so then it'll be more of like, well, hey, your leader did this, and it's be like, oh, well, hey, well, you did this, and like that'll be cool.
There's definitely going to be some sort of beef there. Like it's not just gonna be like, oh, you're in, and then everyone gets along. We know Mandalorians famously don't all get along, so something's
been waiting a long time to see Bo and the Armorer like see each other and interact and see what that's like. How do they react to each other? Are they friendly? Are they neutral? Is there hostility? And I didn't really detect any hostility. I mean, like the Armorer was just being all armory and Bo was just there, and she didn't really seem that brushed off by being there like directly either. So I don't know. And the only character who really was directly antagonistic and then like passively so was Paz. And so now I'm wondering, is Paz Vizsla going to be more of the antagonist than the Armorer? Because like she seems to be like, hey, listen, I'm just here. I bang I bang the hammer. I make the good Beskar. Don't bother
didn't know
me.
where that was going
Don't
for a
piss me
minute.
off.
A good
But,
Beskar.
yeah,
I bang.
that's a charged word. It can be used a lot of ways.
He does
I
have a
understand.
son, we think so.
Yeah,
Anyways.
he is like so happy to find any excuse to keep them out of there, and is seething in that helmet. Like, it's so amazing how like the show restricts so much of like what makes actors like really show off their performance, those like little micro expressions, and he's just like, and like you don't see a damn thing. You could feel it.
He seems very tense, like
Yeah.
he could strike at any moment. I know exactly what you're saying because I felt that too when he first appeared again.
It's hard to tell if he's just protective or I don't think he was in that final scene patting everyone on the back.
I don't think so. I think
No.
he's legit.
He was, like,
First
to
of all,
the
he's a
side.
Vizsla.
He was there, but that's when he was seething. He's just like,
Yeah.
Maybe he feels he should be the one in charge.
So like as
Yeah,
Matt
he
just said,
does.
like
He
he's
should
he's
have
a
the dark
Vizsla.
saber.
So
That's
like
not surprising.
yeah,
like
he's
Pat
already
has
tried to
Vizsla.
do
Challenged in for it last Book of Boba. So.
He did, and he lost, and he can
Yeah.
do it again. But like as
Yeah.
Matt just said, like he's a Vizsla at the end of the day. So like he has that built-in, like I have this honored family name, and he's gonna like do his damnedest to like protect that family name. And like he's well aware of like what Bo-Katan's like family has done. And I personally am obsessed with that theory that the armorer is Brooke Cast, who is a follower of Maul, because that would be someone that isn't necessarily like top tier, like everyone knows who she is, but everyone who's a Mandalorian would know who she is. Because I think it's also just so important that the armorer doesn't have a name; she's just the armorer.
Yeah.
And so
there's gonna be something behind that.
I'd
behind
count
her.
that this entire cult of the Children of the Watch, they don't know who the armorer actually is, like if she has an actual name. So I think that's going to be a big reveal, and I think that when it is revealed, whoever she is, it's going to be really impactful and pretty much make everyone doubt.
And the amount of times we've been like, oh, this is this person or this is this thing, and it doesn't end up happening. I mean, this will probably be under that too. But
Yeah, that's what I think.
File under Omega's
She
theme of the
does-
Book of Boba Fett theme song. Oh
she
my
does
God.
have the horns on her helmet,
Yeah,
which all of Maul's followers had. So I mean, that would be just Dave Filoni, big driver behind
That's
this
what he's
show.
doing.
So like,
yeah.
who knows?
yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, I guess.
Matt never wants to believe in the fun things.
No, I don't. I never do.
Well, he was like
it's gonna be an
firm-
original
firm-
character that's not attached to anything.
Wasn't no, but Matt was a firm believer of the whole Pike. The
No, he was with
conspiracy
you.
that- Were
Yeah,
I
you?
believe.
You and
it
me,
was
where
Jamie and I
the
were
Pikes are the
believers.
villains
Yeah.
team. You and me, man.
Okay.
Legendary
Alright.
team up.
If she was on Cream
Realism's
Crimson Dawn.
realism, boys.
The realism
Dom.
boys. That's us.
Brent had a good comment a ways back before we move on to Coruscant, the
Mhm.
B plot or the A plot for this episode. But what did he? Yeah, I don't think Bo was plotting or planning anything in this moment. I think kind of what Matt said. Like she saw the mythosaur. I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. I'd be so confused because you find something out that you thought wasn't true, and then all of her people left her. Like she felt lonely in her castle with just that droid. Her castle gets bombed, so she just
RIP
feels
that droid, by the way.
Good work,
yeah.
and you got nothing for
They
it.
might have made it out.
No, he didn't. make
Probably
it
not.
out.
No,
He's gone.
he's a
They
droid.
can rebuild
don't-
them.
They're gonna
They
rebuild
gotta
him.
back and
fairly.
pick up everything.
I don't think they are. I think
But
they're out of there.
I think Bo just for this moment feels welcomed by these people. I don't know, and she's just taking it in,
Really
or
love how
she's just pissed under her helmet and we can't see her reaction. I don't
She's
know.
But that's
recently
what I think.
displaced.
I think that
Easy.
she's just being respectful of the entire situation because she realizes it. Because like she did have like a spiritual experience of this whole. She experienced this whole like rebirth essentially, but she's also just like, is this something I really believe in? And like seeing this group of people who do fully believe in all of this, like it's gonna have some influence on you. But I think that Bo-Katan is strong enough to not just like be all in for the cult. she's not there for the cult stuff. She's there for herself, and she's there to support Din. I think that is like the other big part of it is like she's like all in of like supporting Din and what he is trying to do. And I think that's really cool.
For all you Revenge of the Sith lovers out there.
Oh, here we go.
Well, this is a good transition because I'm going to bring up Revenge of the Sith. But quickly, I always kind of make fun of how fast Anakin like calls Palpatine Master and turns to the Sith. if Bo-Katan joined this cult, that'd be even more ridiculous. Like turning on that so fast. But anyways,
She at least had a
Coruscant-
spiritual journey. Anakin just watched a master get yeeted out a window.
That's a spiritual
One holds a
journey.
lot more narrative and thematic
journey
significance.
of
Seeing
sorts.
Mace Windu get lit up like a Christmas tree is a spiritual journey all in itself.
That's true.
Mace Windu lives.
Yeah,
Maybe.
He's out
Maybe
there
But
somewhere.
no.
I'm the realism
He's chilling.
boy. I say no.
So
Yeah, they
Matt
would've
is the
used it by
Bendu.
now.
He's in the middle.
I-
So Matt showed me
That's
this
not a
earlier from
compliment.
Reddit. I'm gonna play a little clip here,
But
but
little clip.
we see Coruscant. This is from Mando, right?
Yeah.
And then we see Revenge of the Sith here any moment. Here it is.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I don't know who shared
Oh.
this on Reddit. There's this scene where he's talking to Grievous, and then it's the same shot. So
Hmm.
they reuse
Ah,
the shot
did
for
they
Revenge
like
of the Sith.
remaster it or anything like that, or they?
It looks like a little bit.
Yeah,
Well,
it
I
looks
look at
a little better.
Looks a bit brighter.
Same
The-
model, same
Couple more
same
lights on.
tracking shot.
Yeah.
just-
The CG
Gussied
effect
up.
boys in the basement. They needed a break.
Yeah.
They don't have
There's a lot more
time.
lights on. I can
They
Yeah.
say
don't
that.
have. Yeah.
I love New Republic Coruscant. Like I
Oh yeah. Big
love-
time.
Good time.
how we even got to see it. Like this was incredible. And I love getting to see it right after everything with Andor because we have like the full experience of like Imperial Coruscant. And then we don't see what's happening during like the rebuilding years because now we're comfortably in the Republic has been rebuilt and this is what's going on and everything's happy and everything's bright and everything's colorful. And I love how it just fits the vibe of the Mandalorian. Like the vibe of like Andor is dark, it's drab, it's death, it's war. The vibe of the Mandalorian has been it's really bright, it's really colorful, it's fun, it's Star Wars.
We're
And
having
like
fun, guys.
even though
They're
this
still
was
doing
like
some
drab,
sketchy
like
things.
sketch even
Yeah.
though there was like
Yeah.
a lot of like weirdness going on during this
Underbelly
entire
shit.
sequence, it was very on brand with Mandalorian.
But
And
one
I love
thing-
that.
one thing you notice, or one thing I noticed before anything else, is the juxtaposition between Andor, no aliens, and Mando, New Republic. Everybody's an alien.
Loads of
Everybody's a Twi'lek.
Yeah.
Everybody's a Twi'lek, or that big fuzzy guy on the train. It's just a bunch of different aliens all
Big
around. I
fuzzy
mean,
guy on the train.
Matt, did
It
you
does-
see the Fergosian in the background?
I have a list. I have a list of the aliens I saw in the background. The Fragaisian was there. He was
Yeah.
there. I could not.
He was chilling.
I could not take my eyes off him for the split second he was there. And there was also, I don't know the name of the species because I don't think it has a name, but we call them the Chinchinians from Obi-Wan. The guy with the giant chin, like the really giant chin.
Not the
He was-
Balchinian.
I thought you were literally
Men in
making a Men in
Black.
Black reference, and I'm like, wait.
I mean, I am making a
Really?
Men in Black reference.
Crossover.
I am making a Men in Black reference.
The censored
Chinchinian.
version where they call it a
The-
Chinchinian.
Yeah, which is just awful. You
I
ever
love
seen
how
that?
lived in it felt. Like it felt tangible.
Yeah.
Like it felt real. Like you could touch it. Everything from when they went to it was like a carnival, and they
Yeah.
looked at
Yeah.
the rock, and then the little
Oh,
light up
nice.
ice pops. Like it
The
just
glow popsicles.
Those are awesome.
those are cool. Like
The
they
music
need to make
playing.
those- They'll be at Disney World somewhere. Like
Dude, they should be.
He'll be out.
Oh,
Oh,
$50
yeah,
a
they'll stick an
pop.
LED in the middle of it.
yeah. But
If
it
it's
just-
in the
it felt
Mandalorian,
real.
it'll show up at Galaxy's Edge right away. If it's in the Bad Batch, they'll never talk about it.
Yeah,
But
pretty much.
Yeah.
so
The Opera House
carnival.
was. Oh yeah, the Opera House
Um,
was also really cool. I like how that's
yeah,
the first thing
Opera
they showed
House.
us
Dude,
The
the
same
Opera
shot
House, yeah.
as Anakin running up. Which maybe there's a few things in this episode that hint at Elia Kane being truly evil. I've had my random theories overnight, but at the end of the day, I woke up. She's evil. What am I thinking? So number
At
one,
the end of the day, you woke up.
At the end of the day,
at the
You were
beginning of the
sleeping
day,
all
I
day,
woke up,
dude.
yes.
Yeah, you gotta get your sleep
Yeah, I'm like
schedule
a-
back in order,
yeah.
bud.
Come on, man.
backwards.
Tough times. So at the beginning, we see Elia Kane running up the stairs late to the thing, just like
That's it.
Anakin. Anakin's
Totally.
evil. I just kind of made that up, but that makes sense, right?
That
So,
actually is pretty good.
Later on, she has a red popsicle.
Uh-oh.
Ooh,
Pershing has the blue one. We all know what that means. And with the biscuits, the Imperial travel biscuits, she liked the red ones.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
So
red,
that means-
red is
guy.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
red is the flavor. Confirmed. Okay.
Red's a flavor. It's probably like
Red is a
cinnamon.
flavor. Yeah, what is
That's what-
cinnamon?
Strawberry.
Cherry.
Cinnamon crackers?
A berry
Yeah.
flavor. Yeah.
Fruit
Cinnamon
punch
graham
or
crackers are
something?
good.
Cinnamon graham crackers. Yeah, I guess.
It's the best kind.
But
So,
as a popsicle?
No,
Oh,
we're
you're talking
talking about
popsicle.
the crackers.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, I'm
I
sorry.
thought they were
Wires
talking about the
crossed.
popsicles too.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you,
cinnamon
That's fair.
Thank you.
popsicles sound awful.
I think somehow both are being spoke of.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Dr. Pershing's TED Talk in the beginning.
Great.
Cloners.
Made a
Dude,
pretty good case.
I'm telling you, our theory that Omega is the first Strand cast, I think is going to come true. I think that is where they're heading. And I think he's trying to replicate the Strand cast formula, and he's trying to, go all in.
I agree. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I said this in our last episode, not our live, but our last episode about the Bad Batch, in which I talked for an hour and a half, and I do apologize. But
I don't.
that theory is that like Omega, this isn't confirmed anywhere, but my theory is that Omega is the first successful Strand cast, and Nala Se was the one to do it. Obviously later on, like Snoke is a Strand cast, and the Palpatine clone is a Strand cast.
And Dathan.
Yep. Yes, he was a
Dathan's
very
a Strand
successful
cast.
one because they can successfully Strand cast normal humans. They can't do the Force sensitive ones that well. So like, I think that the way that things are going, the Bad Batch is like that's going to be like that focus. But the way that it's like tying in here with the Mandalorian, which is probably why they delayed the Bad Batch, is because it all goes back to cloning and the Strand casts and Palpatine's grand scheme.
Yeah.
And like the fact that like in this episode, Dr. Pershing like mentions specifically the Kaminoans laid the groundwork of all of this, and it's research that like
Yes.
I've been like working on trying to replicate. He's trying to do their work again. It's not like so it successfully has happened before, and he's just trying to do it again. So like,
I love how cloning is just such a big thing in Star Wars now. I find it all
I know.
fascinating. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
You got to think it's like George Lucas is sitting on the toilet one day and he's like, the Clone Wars. And it's become like the biggest thing on the planet. Like
They're
the
cloning
biggest thing in
everywhere.
Star Wars lore. Everything's a clone now. Everything's clone
Well,
this, clone that.
That was the funny thing, right? Like before the prequels came out, like that was the one thing that when the EU started to kick off with the Thrawn trilogy, that they couldn't touch the clones. So like the best they could do was like, oh well, there's like the RT clones or whatever, which are like half
clone
offshoots or
masters.
whatever. Yeah,
The ones that attacked the Republic, and Luke and Joris
Luke.
Sabayoth, but
Yeah.
Jorus with 2 U's, because that's what you
Yeah.
did when you
Khalid,
cloned somebody.
we barely know what they're talking about either.
Yeah, I mean the Thrawn trilogy is great, but there are some rough parts. But anyway, my point being that like I
Luke's
forgot what my
evil
point
clone.
was, but yeah. Yeah. Like it's nice to like see that now the dam has broke. We can like freely explore it in a context that is now established, and there
Yeah.
not all this like murky water stuff, which was fun at the time, but like it's nice to have it a little more fleshed out.
Exactly. It's more concrete now that we know like what the Clone Wars were. There isn't any like, you don't have to go back and retcon and be like, oh well, the clone masters and the clones that were featured in this were actually an offshoot that happened, in 40 BBY. It's like, no, and it's just the Clone Wars. We know what
Right,
they
yeah.
are. Like, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
So Pershing leaves his little TED talk and then is talking with all the rich people there,
Oh,
which I love.
The
There was a lot
worst
of Mon
feeling.
Calamari in this episode,
dude, there were.
which I love. But
Yeah.
one of the best aliens, so it's cool to see them. And the one guy, he's like, "Imagine me in the war, crazy."
Honey, that was the
Never.
Empire.
Oh, heaven's
See?
sake.
Empire.
Did I do a
rebels,
little
New
fascism?
Republic. I can't tell. I
Like
punched that guy in the face.
it was so good. Like I talk a lot about like imperial arrogance, like in like all the Star Wars media, and like there's been like really good examples of all of it. But like they also can do a rich asshole like really well,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic to see because like I don't want to see any more of those guys ever again because they did their job. They are the scum rich people of the galaxy, and I don't need to know anything more about them. That's it. We're good.
Yeah.
But
This
it did
scene
its part.
plays so well with the sequels, with specifically everybody's favorite Canto
Last
Bite.
Jedi?
Yeah.
Yes.
Your boys on
Bad
Canto Bite,
guys.
yeah.
The boys on Canto Bite. Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, Canto Bite's like, it's just a really cool, whatever you think of the movie or not, Canto Bite's a cool location. And like the
I agree.
people there, the detail there, the work that went into it, and it's
Yeah.
just cool. And then politically, Matt, I know I don't always look for the politics and things, but like
Matt
they
does.
bring it up, like the
They
rich
do.
people,
the rich
they
people
play-
don't care
they
who's
play
in
for the
power.
good and the bad. Yeah.
The
So it's like-
elites only care that they get power And whoever's in power, as long as they keep them in power too, they don't care.
That's all they
You know,
want,
as
right.
long as they got their money, they have their power. They don't have to worry about who's in charge. So this
Or
guy, you know,
profiteers.
it plays into this guy doesn't care who it is. You know, oh, everybody's coming in and out. Who cares? I'm just got my money and I'm fine. You know, it's the same kind of thing as like in Canto Bight. They don't care that there's a war going on. They're profiting off of it. Like they're rich
Partying
because
it
of
up,
it.
gambling.
They don't care
Someone
if
has
the
to be
First Order is in
distributing these
charge.
shipments of weapons and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, change up the design a little bit. Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, put a
Here
little
you go.
red stripe on this side. Sure. Yeah.
Well,
Now
like-
it's a different ship.
In Dark Forces and Baron's Head, you can literally see like crates of Imperial logos and Rebellion logos literally stacked on top of each other, and it's
Did
like
you
no
say
one's
Dark
questioning this.
Forces?
I said Dark Forces.
You said Dark
AJ knows what's
Forces.
up.
Ding, ding, ding. We need an
Dark
alarm.
Forces.
We need like a
No,
little
we
thing
do
to
not
go
need the
off. Little
Qatar
No,
graphic,
it doesn't need to be any more obnoxious.
20-minute graphic.
Khalid, what I
Did you know who that was?
no. Khalid, did you what were your thoughts on seeing Coruscant again, and what did you think of how it looked in Andor and like kind of compared to this? You know, it kind of looked like the old Coruscant we all knew too in this.
I loved seeing it. Like I was saying before, just the fact that it felt all lived in, everything from when we were back, what was that, the Senate room, and when he was doing his little TED talk, to when he in the rehabilitation houses. And I do sort of compare that to Andor because I felt like Andor and so far Mandalorian have really making this universe feel lived in.
Yeah.
Like I like things that are more tangible, like it's actual sets. It's like it's not just the basic green screen that we're seeing. Things feel more real and more lived in. And especially I think sort of to switch topics just a little bit, like from what I've seen in Andor, I haven't finished it. I know we've talked about this age.
It's all good.
But
It's all good.
it's Andor relied heavily on their locations and the sets that they built. So I'm always just a fan of just actually really seeing it and trying your best to do it for real. Just that I feel like it gets that effect and that vibe over better than just basic green screen or the volume that they've been using lately.
Absolutely. And I mean,
That's why Grogu works so
you
well.
work in TV
Yeah.
and film, so like, you know, that stuff, and you know, you and Matt as well. You guys did that stuff together in school, so like that stuff's important to you guys, and it's important to me. Like, Andor looks
just
so
us.
good.
Not-
Yeah, just
Yeah,
you guys.
just you guys.
Doesn't matter
It's
to me.
not like
Yeah.
that's how like we met.
How
or
much?
anything.
How much?
Hey,
movies
I
were-
don't-
You
then
guys have
Jack
seen how the
also
sausage is made,
Shoot.
so like,
I agree
Yeah.
with all of that. I think that this episode of The Mandalorian really showed a good mix of how they're using the volume well and using real sets. Because like there's a few moments like in the episode that are like a little wonky. Like look at when they're in space with the TIE fighters.
yeah, looked. A
But
little
other
weird.
than that, like everything looked like really, really good. And like a lot of it, we know majority of it is on the volume, but like there was like a good portion as well that were like those tangible sets. And I feel like fresh off of Andor, like seeing the physical sets again is just like so refreshing. So like getting this like revamped version in the volume, I think that I know that Andor was airing when it was airing, things were pretty much like wrapped up at that point for like production for Mando, but at the same time they definitely like hurt a little bit and they're like, all right, we are like working through and making sure our technology like works with it. So like it looked good and it looked fresh. And I love how glitzy Coruscant looked. And then you get to the Amnesty housing and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Like
was great.
I loved all of that.
Projects.
It's like we're back in.
Yeah.
It's like we're back in
Yeah.
Andor. We
It
got
looked
the
like Cyril's
concrete,
apartment.
brutalist. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is perfect to show how like it is like in a sense they are still in this Imperial remnant because like the New Republic has just shown how everything is like all like built up and it's happy and it's colorful and it's great, and then like there are these people in this amnesty program which we're gonna have to talk to at great length. Like it's just wild how they have like this program going on, but they're just sticking these people in these concrete cookie cutter apartments, still in uniforms, still referred to by their numbers. Like
Yeah, that's weird.
That was really
that
weird.
is odd.
Still in
That's a
prison,
very
I
odd
guess.
choice.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
then even
Well, their
their
apartments look very nice.
inside they were nice.
Look at that.
But their
robe.
coworkers, wherever Dr. Pershing was working, which was also very Andorish, where we see Cyril doing the desk job as well,
Yeah,
on
he's
He's got
Coruscant.
got,
cubicle stuff.
he's got his cubicle.
going through paperwork or whatever those, essentially paperwork.
Right.
going
Data
through the
logging.
files.
He was logging things for demolition.
Very fun job. His coworker there called him by his number too. So it's like you kind of
Which
see
is
the
interesting. 'cause,
comparisons.
Like, that guy was like a New Republic guy. Like he was
Yeah.
clearly like a New Republic like officer. He had like the Purina logo like badge like still and everything.
Purina logo.
Yeah,
It's a Family Guy reference.
It's a family reference. Anyway,
No, I didn't pick up
It's
on
in the
that
Star
one.
Wars ones.
it's in the Star Wars. It's anyway. He has like the funny like badges and whatnot that like the rebellion still wears, and so he is like a New Republic officer. But he's referring to this guy by his number, not bothering to learn his name. So it's like, so how good is the New Republic now, ladies and gentlemen?
It's like taking away their humanity. You know what I mean? Like you talk about rehabilitation, wanting to integrate you back into society, but we're calling you like N-781. It's like, thank you. That's really like I really feel human again.
Well,
FN 2187.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
And,
mean,
like,
it's tough,
also,
right? Because they're essentially war criminals. They're lucky
That is the thing.
that they can be.
No,
love that
I'm
gray
with-
area, right?
I agree more with you, Jack, that they are basically just like former Nazis that you're like putting like behind a
We joke
desk
about
to like
them.
do like. I still think it's weird that they refer to them as numbers. I don't really get that, but I also don't think that
Don't
it's like.
dehumanize them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point to that. I don't really see why you can't just call him Pershing.
And
know?
and I think
Right.
one thing that I think is funny is that I think that in some ways the New Republic has slightly better morals than the United States of America, because I mean, Operation
Probably.
Paperclip, anyone? We literally were totally fine with signing over Nazi scientists who knew how to do rockets so that we could have better rockets and build our first space shuttles.
It's basically what
even-
Pershing is.
Questionable ethics behind that, regardless of
even
what
just-
even those scientists wanted to do, like thinking of them as Dr. Pershing.
The Nazi scientists, but also, people don't talk about the Japanese war criminals. They got off scot-free. There was supposed to be a big, oh my God, it's the Tokyo trials, I believe. It's the Tokyo trials. Was supposed to be as big as the Nuremberg trials, and the United States suppressed all that. Let all of the people who worked at Unit 731, don't Google it if you want to keep your lunch, because that stuff is just awful. Human experimentation, stuff that's very similar to the kind of stuff that we're seeing the Empire doing now, and the Empire did while the Empire was the Empire.
So
the
a
fact
history
that-
lesson for the day.
The fact that they are like actively outlawing the science that he was doing, genetic engineering and clone science, like regardless of his intentions, like it's unethical, and it's good that they aren't giving into that, even if there is a benefit to it, because it is unexplored and they can't explore it without breaking ethics.
Exactly. They already broke ethics to get where they were. No need to use that stuff. I warned you. I
Lost
said
another one.
don't do it. It's awful. It's
I'm
seriously
low-key
awful
Googling it myself right now.
It's
I ain't Googling.
Did you want to be sad?
sit down, read that before bed. Don't sleep.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, if you have to stay
So-
up late.
One thing that's interesting that we know about the New Republic, if you've read the books and kind of have an understanding of, and I think it's in Resistance, the other animated show there, that the New Republic isn't really that great anyways.
The
Like
New Republic,
they don't see the First Order when they rise up as really a threat, and they're a bit corrupt with a lot of their politicians, which I guess who isn't, right?
Yeah.
But that's why
But-
Leia kind of gets kicked out in one of the books, Bloodline.
Oh,
right?
Bloodlines, yeah.
Yeah.
Bloodline is
That's how the
very
Resistance
important.
starts, because the
Really?
Resistance sees
Yeah.
the First Order as a threat. The New
'Cause they
Republic
give them-
doesn't, and they pay
They're a
for
total
that.
mess. The Senate
Yeah.
by that point is just as bad as the Republic was. The Republic Senate was in the prequel era, and like
Right.
they're like giving into identity politics, and that's
Well,
the
that's
whole
the
reason
thing.
Leia gets kicked out.
There's no
and the fact
corporate
that they're decommissioning,
representation or anything
Yeah.
like that, but it's partisan politics
yeah,
that destroys the New Republic, much like the partisan politics we're seeing now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to make sure we don't, I've seen a lot of people, this has been a big sticking point today. A lot of people are like, the New Republic's just as bad as the Empire. Why did our heroes even fight if the New Republic's going to end up just as bad as the Empire? And I'm like, you guys have to be absolutely insane to think that the New Republic is even close to as bad as the Empire. Even one shred of
No,
an
it's not.
iota as bad as the
It's just as-
Empire.
maybe
It's
if
not
you're
as
a former
bad. It's just
Imperial.
they're not. It's not perfect. Like,
No, it's
they're
not
still kind of.
perfect.
doing odd things here and there, but like that's just how it goes. I mean,
It's just like our own society. Like it's not as bad as
exactly
the fascist state that the Empire ran things under. People were under genuine fear when they when, like the Coruscant that we saw during the Imperial rule was not one of comfort and festivities or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's no kindness there. Like and honestly, they weren't intending to mind wipe the crap out of Dr. Pershing. Like
no,
that wasn't their intent. The fact that there's no safety standards or like a cutoff switch or something that says
Yeah,
no, you can't go past this setting. What are you, crazy? Come
Or
on,
like
dude
a
just left the
protocol
room.
of like someone staying in there who's actually licensed to use that machine.
yeah,
space
Right.
ocean.
lock it
out,
under
man.
a lid or something. A plexiglass
They're learning as they go.
case.
Yeah.
Try something.
Yeah. That's it.
Child
But
lock,
right.
like a window.
I
You can
think-
control our windows.
do you think it's a coincidence, just like kind of that? I mean, I guess all the people at Lucasfilm work together, and Filoni and Favreau and Rick Famuyiwa all knew Andor was coming and what they were kind of they probably saw a bit of Andor while they were making Mando, right?
I
Like
would
it wasn't
assume so,
Yeah.
it wasn't coincidence that this episode felt very Andor, right?
No, they're definitely gonna like look at like, oh, this is what's gonna like come out like beforehand. This is what has happened before, and this is where it's gonna grow to. That's just basic continuity. So I would assume that like they would try to like make that effort in their efforts here before just completely changing things,
Yeah.
I could see
which
that.
they have done.
I was a little confused as to why they would set anything on Coruscant, considering the status of
Good point.
Coruscant has fallen dramatically after the war.
Right.
So I
But
think that
I think that was
it's-
specifically to juxtapose with Andor.
Yeah.
I think that one thing
and everyone knows it.
Yeah, everyone knows Coruscant, and it would be like showing it totally differently. I think that it's important that we know that the Senate is now on Hosnian Prime, because they only showed on Coruscant here the amnesty program and like all of that admin work, and then obviously New Republic like headquarters where he has his like Blade Runner therapy sessions,
Yeah.
and then like the theater where they have from Squid Lake and whatnot. And so like it's not like the Senate is actually there anymore.
Right.
It is elsewhere. Although I did see like a graphic of like the Senate building when they went on the train. Trains in Star Wars, guys. Oh my god, I haven't talked about the train yet.
Uh-oh. Good
The train
The train
was
was so
cool.
good. The train was so good.
The security droids on the train were terrible. Like
I love the
They were so
security
slow.
droids though. I
yeah,
love how
they
they
were cool
were
looking, but
they were a
They're
cool
like
combo of like
Terminator.
classic like Macquarie droids, combination of like the Republic security droids we see in the Clone Wars that like run around helping Ahsoka and Master Sinube, and like I loved like just love trains, guys. Trains
Good
in
year.
Star Wars.
Or a good time to be a Subway fan too, because we get a lot of Coruscant subways going on.
love,
I'm
taxis.
surprised
love
they
subways.
they are
Yeah,
and
relying on
taxis.
on metal rails in a world where they have
But they
hover
weren't.
technology.
It
They
just
had hover
went.
technology.
But
It
no,
just
but they
went.
heard. I heard subway noise. I heard the grinding of wheel brakes.
Oh, you gotta
on-
throw it in.
At first, it
I
just
know,
like
it's like-
went.
It's like the
Is it-
Spurs on Boba Fett or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah,
They're not there, but
it's just because
They
that's all
don't
I
do
made me think.
like
Is like,
a
wait a minute. Are these trains riding on rails? Because that's ridiculous.
I
I'd
like
be
how
terrified on like a hover train, like thousands of feet in the air. I mean, it's just a plane, I guess, but
yeah,
like
the
I don't like
opening
planes
shot of
either.
it's just like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how it was like complete with like creatures being on the subway, like as like
Oh,
there
yeah.
normally like would be. Like I loved like all of that. Like there's just like the people judging you reading, and then like just some
Looked pretty
big
high
hairy
class.
dude staring at you.
Who's the
like,
big hairy dude?
I
Have
don't
we
know.
seen that
I don't
species
know.
before? I feel like we've
you
seen
would
that
know.
He's
species
just a
before.
chill bro.
It's bothering me. If anybody knows in the chat, let me know because it's bothering me. Where have we seen that guy before?
Matt, it seems like you have a case of the tongs days.
Hey,
Tongs days, am I
Oh,
right?
oh, that reminds me. Is Bendu Day like a holiday, or is that just another day of the
Nope,
week?
That's
it's
Friday.
Saturday or Friday.
or there's only 5
Okay.
days, so
There's only
what's
5
Tongues
days,
Day.
so.
Is it Tuesday or Thursday?
There's only 5 days,
Wednesday.
Jack. We can't
So-
do this.
What?
We can't equate days if there's not the same amount of days.
Here's my thinking. So Tongs
Oh, I gotta
days.
sit down. Oh,
That's
that's
supposed to
good.
be her saying Mondays. Am I right? 'Cause
I
that's
would
the
guess,
classic
yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
if it's a 5-day week, let's just say it's Monday to Friday. That's easy to do, right?
sure.
Tongs Day's Wednesday. These shows come out on Wednesday. So they knew what they were doing. People are watching it, and they're saying the day it is.
Except for the
universe.
Bindu Day.
Well, the tongs,
What do you
like
mean?
that's like
Bindu Day. That's what he says at the beginning when they're in the office. He's like, "Happy,
Happy
Bindu Day."
Bindu Day, yeah.
But when she says it later,
Yeah,
Tongs
different
Days,
day.
am I right?
That's like
Oh yeah, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
this
after
is-
some time, and he's had some time to ruminate.
it's a little bit of time.
Happy
Anyway,
Bendu Day.
It's at least been a day, so it could have just been the next day, which is the Monday of the week.
There you go. Does that
So they
mean
have
nobody
no
has
weekends?
weekends? That's
No weekends.
dude,
Yeah.
workers
Ugh.
workers' rights in the New Republic.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch this? Like, I was watching this and thinking about how unsafe their transportation is. Like,
Of
they're
course.
like
Yeah.
switching
Yeah.
train cars. I'm like, what the fuck? And then
You
the
can do that on a
taxi
New
he
York
takes-
train. I don't
and then-
recommend it.
The taxi he takes, how easy it is to just fall off the building if you
Yeah.
wanted. Like, that's why I watch this. I'm just like, what the fuck? Where's the safety here?
Droid
Don't-
can't even keep his eyes on the road.
I'm saying, yeah.
Random
No.
Jedi could just fall into your cab at a moment's
Dude.
notice. You can never know.
Jedi Poodoo.
Exactly.
don't
Mace
think
Windu probably fell
about
into someone's cab.
space OSHA violations. Just don't think about it because you'll be here all week, all night, all year.
Anxiety.
Matt, that guy's on Canto Bite. Everyone's saying.
Thank you. Okay.
So we're back to
Oh,
Canto
I knew I
Bite?
saw him. I knew I
Oh,
saw
boy.
I
him.
don't want to go
somewhere.
back to
Back to it.
Canto Bite.
So we talked about the past couple of weeks how John Favreau and Dave Filoni don't exactly know the time frame here, and it doesn't matter. Everyone settle down. It's not a huge deal.
I'm already
Yeah.
mad.
Khalid, I'm sure you've heard the discourse that like
I've read it. and I
Grogu's
said,
with-
what?
Grogu's with the Darth Vader. What?
What?
So it's very confusing, but we're going with the flow. I think this kind of showed that a lot of time has gone by because the last time we saw Elia Kane was end of season 2, right? Right when we saw that finale, I think she was on the ship.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that has apparently been like 0 to 3 years ago or something. And we were supposed to believe she's in the amnesty program, so it takes some time to turn Imperial to be good. It doesn't just happen overnight. So I think that's just another thing to show time's gone by.
I still maintain that each season is a year. That's it.
Maybe.
That's just how it is.
Okay.
I think that's just
Possibly.
how they're treating it. I don't think they've given any thought to the timeline, like legitimately, like sat down.
Which
and
is
went, "This
hilarious,
takes place
but-
then." They're just making the shows, and they're just assuming like, oh, a year's gone by because it's the next season.
But Grief
fans
Karga's
will figure
aged
it
like
out.
10 years.
Dude,
He's
being
aged
the
like a fine
magistrate-
wine, but
sorry,
like
the high magistrate, being the high
yeah.
magistrate is a stressful thing, dude.
Presidents
your cares
between
can
their
be right.
first
he doesn't look
first
stressed.
term and last term,
He's having a
they always
time.
Right?
Look
You
rough.
see how he's dressed?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
his
but he
clothes
has
are
to-
great.
he's
It's
always
all
having
up
a-
front.
Sweat.
Yeah, he's always having to slow down for the droids carrying his train. Train
It's all
Star
up
Wars.
front. There's a big bottle of spotchka in his desk.
Speaking of droids, we've already talked about 2 different kinds, but I love the little security droid around the big rock, Umate.
No
or
touch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Get away from it.
First of all, nice High Republic reference. Oh my god. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like so excited that they like talked about this because I don't think it's shown up in like in
It has.
anything yet, right?
Yeah,
Aside from the
Clone
High
Wars.
Republic.
Nope.
Okay.
Clone
It was in
Wars.
Clone Wars.
It was
yeah.
in Clone.
It was?
That's been Monument Plaza has been a staple of Star Wars, I think, since the Imperial like city era in from like Legends. And Umate has been a thing for like quite a while. In Clone Wars, actually show the mountain peak, and it looks very. I mean, they really just tried to recreate it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's where somebody meets somebody else.
I don't remember the
uh,
episode.
There's an episode. I'm trying to remember the episode, but somebody meets Ahsoka undercover while she's on the run. I think.
Was it like literally Ventress?
Yeah.
So it's
Anyway.
in Clone Wars, but it's not referenced by the name.
Right.
So
They
this
don't
is
say
the first.
Yeah, the name.
But they mention it in the High Republic book.
And Light of the
But
Jedi.
Yeah,
okay, so it's the double mentioning of it.
Mhm.
And
the
He was
second
very
mentioning of
stressed
it.
out when he was
And the
reaching out to
Chancellor-
touch it.
can touch. Obi-Wan meets up with Satine. That's it. Thank you. Obi-Wan
Okay, yeah,
meets up
yeah.
with Satine
Ah.
on Monument Plaza, and it looks very different. And we made a video about this. There's a riot that happens on Monument Plaza after the fall of the Empire. If you watch Return of the Jedi special editions, at the end when everybody's celebrating on Coruscant, that's Monument Plaza.
Palpatine statue.
Yeah,
comes down.
it's Palpatine statue comes down, and right after that, the Empire comes in and mows everyone down. It's like a big massacre that people talk about, and then like 5 years later, everybody's like, "Woo, eating popsicles."
Return of the Jedi brushes over that. Everyone's celebrating, having a good time.
Yeah,
Cut.
But,
Well, anyway.
that's from Math for Math.
yeah. No,
Nice
that was
High Republic reference.
Nice High
It was-
Republic reference.
it was very cool to see. And we hear the March of the Resistance playing
Yep.
over like the circus music style there, which is cool.
which definitely
So-
indicates that it's a real life march, kind of like the Imperial March.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So I've been burned before by the music in these shows because the Book of Boba Fett especially, like you guys know, like I thought that Omega's theme was in the theme song and that also the Crimson Dawn motif was in it because it was, but then it like wasn't. But in this one, the Resistance theme, March of the Resistance, was clearly in the background. We
Yes.
all heard it.
Absolutely.
It was there.
You're
So
not crazy.
I want to know why they chose it for Elliot Kane because like
Yeah.
she has a lot of depth. Like what is going on? Because like initially, like my initial like thoughts, you hear the Resistance March and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the beginning of like the early days of the Resistance, kind of like how we have like the early rebels like showing up in like the Bad Batch. But like even if we have like the early Resistance people, they're gonna be like really nuts, like really crazy, because like think of like Saw Gerrera style, like they
Well,
are
okay, yeah.
Early
off the
rebel.
rails. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know.
I think the
So
early Resistance people are going to be people like Carson Teva, who are fighting the Imperial Remnant.
But
No one else really knows about the First Order right now.
The
Yeah,
other time
so-
that theme is played was in season 2
Yeah,
with
when
Carson Teva.
for
When
Carson
they killed
Teva,
the
but that
Sith
was like
fighters.
Why do they play it over Carson Teva? Well, we know why. But then why do they also play it over Elia Kane talking? Like it starts right when she starts talking about how to make a choice. But maybe it's kind of like yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Oh, it definitely sounds diegetic. So I think it was just like an old marching tune that the Resistance took up for their brand, you know. And I don't know if it goes any farther than that for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jack. I don't think them
Yeah.
playing it over her meant anything. I told AJ that yesterday. He was like, "What do you mean?" Like,
Well, kind of, but I like if it was playing the whole scene, that's fine. But like it started right when she like changes the focus to a more serious tone of the conversation.
yeah, she's literally like, if it's important to the New Republic, if it's something that could benefit them, that's something that you have to take into your own hands to like essentially rebel against this New Republic in order to do this. Like that's like what her messaging is there. And we know later on she's just like getting him to do something. But like it's just why would they put the Resistance theme in there and
I mean, it
then
might
have
just
her
be
do this like
because-
double cross for like the New Republic? But then also she's also a double crossing the actual New Republic, and so like who is she working for?
Just
You're a
a
triple
red
agent.
herring, just so like you know that her so you think her disobeying isn't of ill intent, and you like up until the moment where she's like intending to mind wipe him fully, you're like sold on her being
That's true.
on
Could
the
be a
right side
misdirection.
of the coin. Because like you know, like up until she does that, you could assume that she's not, you know, being cruel. But like looking back, like the second watch, like it's total entrapment from her side. But like her report probably doesn't show all the times that she egged him on and can like pushed him to do this. So he just gets the brunt of that.
Right.
It's nuts because like when he gets arrested, they make no efforts to arrest her. So the only way they would do that is if they had assigned her to book him, essentially, to like arrest him for something. So she's already working as like a plant for the New Republic, and so it's baffling. Like,
Who
who
knows?
What I
is she
think-
really?
What I think happened was, yeah, like I don't know who she is really either. But like as far as because like in my head I'm like, why would the New Republic just like pull a straight up entrapment? Like even America doesn't, like we have laws against that. But like it makes sense if she's like just doing it under the radar, and like they just like maybe she faked a report and like said, hey, I think we should look into Pershing. He might be liable to getting up into his own way, his old ways. And while we know that if he wasn't egged on, he probably would have just given it up and just done his thing. She did push him to do that. So like I think at the end of the day, she probably got them to sniff in his direction and then just entrapped him from there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Khalid?
Yeah, I'm still wondering what her angle is, because I know me and you spoke about it the other day. Where like, is she secretly sort of covering the tracks, with working for Moff Gideon?
Yeah.
Is she really with the New Republic, but she just really loves torture and wants to stay and watch him suffer? Like I was just watching that, and honestly, I think I've maybe liked this storyline more
That's her watching him suffer.
Exactly.
Like she's evil. Like nobody watches a guy getting like his mind wiped eating a biscuit like that. So
She's
So
like,
sinisterly.
she's like, I don't care who I work for. I just want to see people suffer.
Biscuit like
But
dry as hell.
I found
Yeah.
Gotta
myself
admire
really
the hustle.
gravitating towards this storyline more than I did the Mando storyline. And honestly, I think just these two actors, they were just fantastic the way they carried it. Kane and what Pushkin?
Pershing.
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 I want to call him
Yeah.
Pushkin so bad.
Pushkin.
But
Dude,
like,
he's a
Pen.
pencil
yeah,
pusher.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just
And
I
Pershing.
really felt for his character, just in the fact that he was really looking to connect. He was very remorseful for what he did, but he really thought he was helping out, and just he was looking for a friend, and she totally just took advantage of that. And I'm just watching, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like, damn, I know she's gonna fuck him over. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And maybe I was just hoping, it's like, well, maybe they're just both trying to just do right now. And then when it happened, I was like, damn. And then at the end, when I thought she was also being serious, like, oh, he's a friend. And then the biscuit came
The
out
biscuits.
while his mind's getting fried. I was like, damn. But I hope they
Man.
continue that, because I'm very interested in this storyline, and I want to know where it's going. And do you think? I mean, I'm sure it's probably a certainty, but do you think maybe who she's working for relates to that whole fleet of TIE fighters we saw earlier in the episode?
Yeah, I think
so.
she's a Gideon plant. I think she's still working for Gideon. I think this was all a test to see if Pershing was still interested in doing his work. Now that she knows he is, and she has him strapped to a table, she's going to do what Imperials do best, and she's going to torture him until he breaks, and then she's going to take him back. I think that's what's going to happen.
I disagree. I mean,
I don't think she's gonna do that.
I think she's wiping his mind.
Yeah, I
Like,
think she sees him
I don't
as a
think she's
loose
wiping
end.
his mind.
Yeah,
You're the one
he's
who-
a loose end. No, that's a mind flayer, sir. Like that, the whole thing that they set up with this in this
And they even
episode is
said
that
it,
it's
yeah.
gonna it would literally like turn your brain to pudding. Which, by the way, like he said, the Mount Calamari doctor, and I love that shot when he's just like, but it was a trap, and it's
He's
just
And then he's like,
for me. And I mean, he said he was gonna be back when he woke up. So when he comes back, Pershing's just gonna be a gibbering, foaming mess.
He'll be like, "Whoops."
It's like, all right, who did it?
come
Who
on,
dialed
guys.
it to
This
11?
is the fourth
Someone's
thing
getting
we've
fired.
done this week.
Let's do like
But-
technicians, which are suspiciously in some like Death Star scientists like white jumpsuits, are just like, oh, I don't know, man. Like,
How
Matt,
are
not
they
to,
gonna
like,
cover that? She so obviously was the last one in the room. Like that's just she's never played a game of Hitman in her life.
nope.
She was just eating the biscuits. Kid, you have no proof.
There's a lot of witnesses actually.
So,
Yeah.
Matt, not to like corner you about your take, but I mean,
Nope.
you're one of the few people I've seen that
That's okay.
don't think he's getting his mind wiped,
I
right?
don't think he's getting his mind wiped.
What makes
No?
you think that?
No,
Just
I
'cause,
do-
like-
because I think he's going to be a character that we're going to see in future episodes. I don't think this was a one-off. I think Pershing. I mean, you don't set up all of this stuff about cloning and his work with DNA and all this. You don't set him up as a character just to wipe his mind and discard him. So I think this is torturing him. I think this is literally just her torturing him and making
So
him.
that's just
evil.
going to turn him evil, like
You can't
right
roll
then
it
and
out.
there.
Inquisitors
One session of
do, dude.
torture.
Not one session.
Well, what if
How
what if
are
a mind
how's she
flayer
going to
like
get him in there
pulls
multiple times?
information?
No, I don't think a mind flayer pulls. I just think she's torturing him. I think it's literally
like-
just a way to strap him to a table and have him be tortured.
I'm
That's
not a
why
D&D
this
buff.
feels a little unnatural to everybody. They're like, why are they using a torture device? Because they need him to be tortured.
Isn't like a mind flayer though, like in D&D lore, like this is totally not like a like a full on theory in any way, but like don't they like consume your knowledge by like sucking out every bit of your brain, like
Yeah.
that would
That's not what this
that's
is.
what is implied by a mind flayer. So like if they're using that word, I don't know, it just if they're not, maybe she gets her cake and eats it, like she wipes his memory and like
Or her
pulls
biscuits.
memories of it. I don't know, like a pensive.
In,
I just-
in
Matt,
season 2 of Mando, Cara
Can't
Dune
imagine
mentions
how you quantify
a
it.
mind flayer. This isn't the first time we've heard about mind flayers in Mando.
Mm.
She specifically says if she's captured, they're going to hook her up to a mind flayer. Why would they care about scrubbing her memory?
I'm just saying. Well, I mean, like they've clearly shown it can be used in multiple ways because even in this episode, they're using it in a different way than it was intended to.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm
used
saying,
to reprogram.
just because it's commonly used to wipe you doesn't mean it can't also be used to download. You know,
But they
cut
literally
versus,
say
delete.
Pershing, smart guy, scientist, he's the one to say like, "Hey, that thing is gonna like wipe my memory away." Like, I think he knows what it is, and that's like, since they said, I don't think they would say that and not have it do that.
We'll
That's
Oh,
just
he
my
did say
thinking.
that. Yeah, that's true.
I don't remember him saying "wipe my memory."
Did
He said it.
He kind of said it. Yeah, it was kind of
Yeah.
implied though.
hold on?
Yeah.
I actually have the transcript right here.
Oh, I just happened to have.
Well, I don't
Well, I
think
pulled
just,
it up because I thought it might be useful, and
I don't think
it
that all
was.
just popped into our mind. Like, I remember him saying it was gonna wipe his mind, or he was afraid it was gonna wipe his memory away. They said something along those lines. So that's the only reason I would jump to that conclusion. But
You're gonna wipe my mind. Yeah, he does say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that means. I still don't think that means like a memory wipe. I think
But
that
that's-
just means like you're gonna fry me. Which I
Could
don't
be.
think. Is the same thing.
Okay. I mean, he literally
could
said
be.
you're gonna wipe my minds, but I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm just interested why you.
I
thought
don't
that.
think you establish Pershing as a character and you talk about all this cloning stuff and then don't utilize him again.
I agree.
And
You know
wipe
what's
his
fun?
Well, I don't. I think it was only there to establish that cloning is still an interest of the Empire, not the Republic, and they also, you know, like it's more to establish, hey, there's still an Imperial threat out there, more than anything else, and like they are literally in the New Republic. They have entrenched their way into the New Republic.
Like I say, I always say this. We'll see. We'll see.
We will.
It's all we can do. But yeah, I mean, I think the reasoning behind why they would wipe his mind if they were to do that is he's a loose end. He knows a lot about Gideon and Elia Kane. So like, I don't know. But
Fair.
I don't know. It's an interesting take, Matt. And you're the only one I've really seen have it. So if you're right, all the power to you. You're the
Who
only
am
one.
I if I don't have the interesting takes?
I'm glad this
Except for the
episode was
times
like
when
an
you
hour.
don't.
Except for the times when I'm Mr. Normal,
Yeah.
Mr.
But yeah,
Boring.
it's interesting. We all had our theories about. Well, Jamie and I did at least. I don't know who. Elia Kane. What was she up to?
I think she's working
don't
with
know.
Gideon. That's
makes
what
the most
I think she's
sense.
a triple agent.
as my like
So
as the dust settled in my mind. That's what I'm with. But, yeah.
As you woke
Gideon-
up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Gideon was like, I don't know, like he was trying to like push out other Imperial warlords, but he wasn't uniting them. And I think there's just such an important point of Bo going, that's like remarking that it was like a much larger than normal amount of TIE fighters. And I think I don't know. I
Something's
don't
going
want
on.
to say Thrawn. That's too easy, and I don't think that's
Thrawn's
true.
appearing in this season.
But I don't know if I believe it being Gideon either, even though they had that little conspiracy theory moment, mainly because I got burned by another movie that like hinted at something and then it was a total red herring. I don't want to spoil
I
it.
think there's just like
Talking
we
about
know
Scream.
we
Yeah,
know
yeah,
for multiple reasons. We
Mystique
know multiple
Truther.
reasons that
Yeah,
Thrawn
for a
is
week.
out there and probably coming to a galaxy near you sometime later this year or next year, whenever it comes out. But like
Coming to a galaxy near you.
exactly. But I think there's other former Imperial. We know there's other former Imperial people out there because
Hmm.
from lore for sequel trilogy, we know that after the Battle of Jakku, not the First
Mhm.
Order went into hiding, but the galaxy went into hiding. Ray Sloan, all that.
Yeah,
Randall
the Empire.
Hux was part
They
of
went
that.
up. They met on
all
the
big
Eclipse
wigs.
and the unknown regions. But
So,
also,
like,
we just see that with the Believer. That
Yeah,
sect
exactly.
of Empire, I don't think was Gideon. I think that was just another random, just like one-off shoot
So, like-
of some Imperial remnant.
Yeah, I think that was
I don't
a
know.
separate warlord.
Yeah, I don't know if the warlords are like coming together now, and like maybe they're just to have bigger forces, and that's why we saw more TIE fighters, or if like that's the fun of it though, right? And it's fun to speculate the thing that like what is it? I don't know. So it keeps us coming
trailers
back
keep-
every week.
The trailers keep talking about there's something out there, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, what else could it be besides
to know.
Imperial remnant?
Water. That's what it is.
It's what?
Oh.
It's the mythosaur in the water.
That's it.
It's out
He's
there.
out, he's out
It's
there,
out there.
floating around in the unknown regions, dead
Mhm.
because he can't live
Hey,
in
listen,
space.
guys.
Cleed,
I
Cleed,
just
what do you
wanna- I
think
just wanna
about
sleep.
what do you think about this show and how it's kind of gonna piece its way slowly up to the sequels, like in some form.
Well, I think I was listening to this interview with Brendan Wayne, who does like some of the
Yeah.
work for Din, and he
Yeah.
was the interview was talking about like more so like are these shows sort of going to link up with like the future shows like what's Ahsoka and the other shows that they're in production, like is this all going to lead together and be like one centralized storyline? So I think we are going to get little hints of like towards the sequels, like with the cloning and things like that, but I feel like mainly it is going to be more set with the TV shows. Like I think by the end of this season, I think it's going to be a good setup for Ahsoka, and I think Ahsoka is going to set up the next thing. And I think it's as corny as it may sound, I think it all will lead together with them. I'm trying not to say come together and make it sound like some Avengers type shit. But
Dude, no, I
kind of
I'm
is.
with you.
That's what they're
I
kind of
do
hinting
think-
at. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like is going to happen.
Thrawn
So-
is going to be Thanos.
You mentioned
Yeah.
Thrawn, and that honestly, that's it's very plausible.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean that's definitely what they're. I could stake my. I'm not going to stake my claim on the mind wipe, but I will stake my claim on this 100%. They're building up to a big Thrawn conflict. It's like Mando, Ahsoka,
We get some
you know,
Boba
Boba
in
Fett.
there. Yeah.
Boba Fett's going to be there. Everybody's going to team up.
Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be-
Yes.
And
Please.
Carson Teva is the Coulson, or
Kinda,
I
yeah.
guess. I mean, I guess he's the
Coulson
or he's
Teva?
the-
Or he could
or
be
he's
Nick
the
Fury.
He's
Yeah.
the Nick Fury of
He's Nick
the
Fury.
group. Which good for him. See, this is what I mean. It's like you could sign up for Mando, and then all of a sudden one day somebody could just like drop a script on your desk and be like, "You're in a whole episode by yourself. You have to be Dr. Pershing the whole episode, and we're just going to film you." I mean, that's great. I
Mando,
mean,
Din Djarin's Iron Man.
Din Djarin
Oh, yeah.
is Iron Man
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't know who Cap is.
Cobb Vanth.
I
Sure.
think Cap.
I can see
Yeah,
that.
because
That's
Cap would have been
Tatooine's ass.
probably would have been Cara
We
Dune.
made that joke last year.
We did.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
Tatooine's ass.
That's Tatooine's ass.
Okay.
I hope it's. I'm torn because I love Giancarlo Esposito and I love seeing him do his thing. So I would be totally happy to have him back again. But like at the same time, I'd like for them to mix it up and give me an antagonist who's new and I haven't seen before because the revenge angles was done last season and that was really, really compelling. And
And Blue.
Gideon got thoroughly depantsed. So
Deep
Yeah.
in.
I feel like he's good.
Yeah, and I know someone quickly tie it up here, I guess. And we briefly talked about it. I know someone mentioned, did Gideon escape? There was
Yeah,
like
that's what they
a
said.
one throwaway line when they're all talking, all the former Imperials. They're like, "Oh, I heard Gideon escaped." I watched the episode twice. I didn't even pick
hear
up
it.
on it. Yeah, it's
I
like,
didn't hear it either.
it
I watched
happened
it
so
twice as
quick.
well.
Yep.
So like, I guess he might have escaped, which
But
he's
I
going to
heard
at
he
some point.
escaped en route to the war tribunal. Like, no, that was just a cover story. I heard they hooked him up to a
Right.
mind flare. Blah blah blah.
Oh, and there's okay. So
Okay.
I feel like something like that, it can't be a throwaway line. Because like
Yeah.
if we're still debating about if it happened or not, like it's got to be clear. Because then like if he just shows up, I was like, wait, wasn't this motherfucker in prison or something?
Or it is a
I've
throwaway
arrived.
line,
Like-
and it is just there to be like, hey, that's this way we don't have to pay this really high profile actor to appear
True.
for like one scene. We can just say, hey, yeah, no, he's not. Don't worry about him, because that's what happened to me in Scream. Because like they literally name drop Stu, and I'm like, so Stu might be back.
I mean,
It wasn't
Jack,
Stu.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but Giancarlo has been on tour for season 3 and
Son of a
talked about
bitch.
Gideon returning specifically.
Well, listen, I like
yeah,
I like
he'll-
him. So like I said, as I said,
he's
I
great.
am
He's fantastic.
I am happy to see him on screen. I just would like to see some other antagonists.
I hear you.
Just 'cause I
I
don't
think
know.
Well, they're
I think
gonna
we
have
will.
to identify who these antagonists are. Like they're setting a few things up here with like the conflict within the Mandalorians, and like they just have to tell us who
Well,
these
someone-
antagonists
It's true.
are.
Someone is
'Cause
running
guess
these
what?
Imperials right now because Gideon is either in jail or just escaping jail. We don't know.
Thrawn, guys.
we don't know where-
It's
We don't know where
It-
Thrawn could be. So
It'll
like,
get revealed.
I could see
Thrawn
him
is-
getting help
he's
from
doing it.
Thrawn. I'd be like, hey, Thrawn, you should beat up these guys.
The
No
big
reason.
bad will get revealed eventually. Because like look at it, look at this like little bit. Like the whole point of this trailer was like, the season going into it was Din Djarin needs to go to the living waters of Mandalore to get reborn. That's his goal of the season. Well, he did that. Now what?
It's those pirates.
It's the
I'm
end of
glad-
Finding Nemo.
What is
Reunite
he supposed to
What do we do
Mandalore.
now?
I'm glad it didn't take the whole season for them to do that, because when they
I
said that, I was
know.
like, oh god,
It's gonna take
all
ages.
8 or 10 episodes for him to get in the damn pool. But no, next episode he's there. I was like, all right, thank you. I
never
scared
thought
about
that was going to take the whole season.
Yeah, so, like-
sometimes
No,
there's certain
I did,
things
I
that
was
take a
kidding.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was hoping AJ was going to call me out.
But
But
yeah,
he didn't.
because like they always took to like the first couple episodes for the content they cut into trailers, and they pretty much stuck to that here. So yeah, that's the exciting part of after you get to past chapter or episode 3 of the season. It's like, all right, I have no idea what's coming.
There's actually a huge big bad that we're forgetting about, guys.
Oh, son of a bitch! He's totally going. You're not wrong.
Gorian Shard. Pirate
Gorian
King.
Shard is going to come back, and he's behind.
Captain Kale.
He
He stole a bunch of
That's good.
ties.
You guys realize that
100%
this
is.
is all our fault because we're like, I want pirates in Star Wars. I want a pirate villain, and now we have this actual Celt man. It
Yeah.
is all
It's
our
beautiful.
fault.
You know, we always
sure.
say,
It's all our
Lucasfilm, if
fault.
you're listening, and I know you are, as a joke. But it turns out we have to use this power for good, guys. So Lucasfilm, if you're listening, and I know you are, bring back 9nub. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
They did, but
I was when Din like took off the cape and stuff, I was like, oh crap, if he has like Bo-Katan style shoulder pads or something underneath that I have to make, I'm going to flip out. And I had to do like frame by frame stuff of like, huh? The light had to catch it just right because it is so dark in those fucking mines. But no, it's just his vest and his satchel on the bandolier like just threw me off enough that I thought it was like thick enough to be like an armor plate of some kind. And I was
I'm
like,
glad
oh,
you're having this
crap.
experience, Jack. I'm so glad you're having this experience because I experienced it this week with the Bad Batch because Hunter actually took off his scarf and I was like,
Oh no.
I saw
Wade.
like 4 new details. Whew, I will not
This
talk
is-
about it, but if you want to know, you can follow me on social media.
Just,
Um,
Just
Hey,
like don't
there you go.
cosplay TV
Just zone
shows
out.
until they're
I
done.
think that we've sufficiently covered this episode.
I was just about to say I want to talk about the Star Destroyers, but it has been an hour and 15 minutes.
It's
So
been-
I've been
Okay.
replaying Fallen Order, and it was really cool to go through some derelict Star Destroyers.
yeah,
So-
and those little bugs that make nests out of the wires was cool.
Oh, they're so
Oh,
cute.
the bugs.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned them. I want to make one. Like, give me a
They're great.
model. I will LED that up.
Little like
It's like a
armadillo
flat-
with like a ton of legs. Anyway,
Yeah, and they're just
Um,
eating it. I love it.
Ooh, and the Canto Bite cop speeders.
yes,
Yep.
They use
the
those.
helicopter thing.
That's good.
Khalid, is there anything else you wanted to shout out before we end? That we
I
missed in the
guess
episode.
I actually have a question for Jamie and Jack because you guys both cosplay. So I was wondering, I guess obviously your inspiration is Star Wars, but in terms of either buying or making parts of your costume, how do you guys, I guess, get the products for that and then just go from there? And then, because obviously, like I'm looking at your suit in the back, Jack. That thing is
Oh, thank
fucking immaculate. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
no, I was just wondering, like, what's like your process like for you guys with cosplaying?
I mean, not
think that-
everything. Jamie makes everything that she does, which is
I think a big
incredibly
part of it
impressive.
is thank you, Jack. I think a big part of it is you have to be a little bit mentally ill in order to want
Yeah.
to do this hobby.
Hyper focus.
And then from there, you just make what you feel like making, and it's totally okay to buy the things as well and to ask for help and whatnot. Like the countless times Jack has been like holding AJ and mine's hands trying to do 3D printing with us, and I feel like I'm drowning every time I look at that printer. So
You guys have the most problems out of anyone I've ever helped with it,
Oh,
and it's not your
no.
fault. These are all like weird things that even I'm just like, huh? I
so
don't know.
Interesting.
the biggest advice that I always give is make what you want to make and make what you think you can attempt to make. And it's okay if like it comes out like looking awful because it's your first time making the thing.
Right.
Second advice is like don't be afraid to like just buy the thing if you'd rather do it that way. Like if you want to wear a costume, wear the costume. That's it at the end of the day. And just have fun. That's it. So like I guess like the inspiration or like what keeps me going with it is just like you see something that's like really new or you fall in love with the character and it's just like you make the thing. And I love how Abby says in the chat, have friends that tell you to stop at 10 p.m. That's my number one rule. No working on projects after 10 p.m. because I just get angry and upset.
Yeah, it gets
If
rough.
it's 3D printing, I stop at 7 p.m. I don't work after 7 p.m.
You knowing your limits, I think, is a big part of it. Like when I first started out, I didn't know how to do any sort of like forming of any sort of material, be it EVA, foam, or anything. Sintra, I had no idea what Sintra was when I first started out, and I didn't know how to sew or any of that. I made my first thing out of bed sheets that I found at Savers. That's a really easy, cheap source of cloth for your first tailoring projects. You just want to mess around. But the biggest thing is YouTube. I can't tell you how much I've learned just from Googling how do I finish a 3D print. Or how do I sew XYZ technique? Like I didn't know what a French seam was. I Googled it. I found how to do it. I tried it. It worked. So then I did it. Technique.
Always looking at videos. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like, yeah, like Jamie said, there's absolutely no shame in buying stuff like the soft parts, aka leathers, the cloth. That was all done by a lady in Italy named Deborah Di Maio. I did all the hard stuff though, the plastic, like the metal, the armor. That was all me. My rifle, all that stuff. You can't see it, but
oh, there he goes.
Seems as good a time as any.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Honestly, I think it's just a matter of what the inspiration part though. Like it's you see something so cool to you that you just have to have it in your hands or on you. That like I saw this rifle and I was like, I need one. I don't care what happens. I will make one if I have to. And I did. And that's just, I think that's the drive is like, holy crap, that suit or whatever, like that is so cool. I will spend 2 years of my life getting it as close as I can because that's what I want to do with my time. Yeah.
I love that. I have like so much respect for cosplayers because I go to New York Comic Con whenever they have it and just seeing the craftsmanship that goes in the cosplay. I love it. So thank you for answering that question.
Buy a 3D printer and you can do a lot. They are stressful,
eventually,
as anyone will tell you, but they are there's a lot you can do with them once you do have it up and running.
Nice.
It's like learning the darksaber. It's a bit of a mess at the beginning, but
yeah.
So
you gotta stop fighting yourselves.
Exactly.
You guys
even if
both
you like spend like so long like working on a costume as well, like it's totally okay to at one point just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy this thing and like do it that way. Like it's fine. Like,
put it in a closet for a few months. Like my Han Solo, I got like most of the soft parts done. Like I made my own jacket and shirt, and then I had to make the holster rig. And I literally cut up parts of it and then stopped, and I didn't touch it for like a year and a half. And then I just
sometimes it'd be like that, but you just have to
get an urge to
control
finish it at 3 a.m.
You never know.
I don't recommend it, but you can do that.
We have countless stories of that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you asking though, and Khalid, like you've done like a handful of cosplays as well, so keep doing it. Keep making
Please do.
things, and if you want to make like grief or anything like that, please let me know. We'll figure it out.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. So with the 3D printer, AJ, you picked up a helmet. Was that from your 3D printer?
Oh yeah.
That's our lone successful
progress.
print. Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. But I really gotta wrap up the stream because we
no, of course.
We are getting way off the rails.
Yeah.
And we forgot we were talking like live. And I appreciate everyone in the chat and everything. And thank you so much for chatting with us tonight, Khalid. It's been so much fun to actually have you to talk with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We barely mentioned in the beginning, but you do have your own podcast as well. What is that info so we can like link everybody as well if they want to check out?
Yeah. So it's called Word to the Blurred, like Blurred Black Nerds. Word to the Blurred with 2 and Cal. It's just me and my brother just rapping about comic books, movies, TVs, things like that. We were recently actually talking about Star Trek. I know that's a different
show. Don't get me started.
No,
new season of Picard.
What do you think?
I still have to watch that.
Dude, Picard is so good. Season 3 is so freaking good, Jack. You got to watch it.
I did not like season 2.
It's everything I've been wanting.
I didn't really
like season 2.
Season 1 and 2 are eh.
I hate it.
We're going on again.
We're going off the rails again, guys. We're going off the rails again.
Listen to Khalid's podcast.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's a chill time. It's a good time.
I love listening to them.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Of course, and thank you for being with us. Thank you to my normal Marauder dudes for hanging out with us tonight, talking Mandalorian. Thank you to everyone in the chat who's been here tonight, and thank you for watching our stream. If you've been listening to this, we have a video version of this as well. There is a couple funny visuals tonight. If you've been watching on the video version, you can take us to go in your favorite audio version as well in the next day, and we will see you guys next time on the HoloNet Marauders podcast. More Mandalorian next time, and then some more Bad Batch, and we'll see what happens from there. We'll see you guys next time.
Grief Karga next week. I'm calling it.